Good day. This is Roger signing in for the BFN, the Business Financial Network. This month, nickel prices exploded up to 110%, over $100,000 a ton, which triggered the London Metal Exchange to suspend nickel trading due to this huge short squeeze. We know, due to increasing gas prices and environmental sustainability, that more consumers are joining the electric vehicle revolution. As battery formulations evolve, it's anticipated that we will use more nickel, since increased nickel provides higher energy density in batteries, which then extends the distance EVs can travel. So on today's episode of Know Your CEO, we're sharing a brand new emerging issuer backed by a successful team with a track record in the expanding nickel mining sector. As always, all the information being shared here is for entertainment and educational purposes. We here at the BFN are not licensed financial advisors, and no past performance guarantees future gains or losses. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mr. Dave Patterson to be here on the BFN. He is the CEO and founder of Quebec Nickel. We really are excited here at the BFN to have you on the show. So thank you for being here, Dave.
Well, Roger, it really is a pleasure. And I'm glad we're able to do this now, given that we just put out a press release on the company. It allows me to explain it to you what our press release, I think in layman's terms, what the press release means.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. So I've been following the company. I've been seeing some price action occur on the stock. We're pretty excited here at the BFN. I know a lot of our community have been looking at the stock, and we want to not only introduce the company, but you, more importantly, you, because we here at the BFN believe that companies don't succeed, people do, and people behind the project and what their past experience has been in the space gives way to the investing populace on the possibility of why they should invest in Quebec Nickel. So tell us a bit about yourself and where you've been and what you've done.
So this may sound a little counterintuitive, but I retired in 2013. And you know, I'm a fundraiser for junior mining, junior oil and gas. There was nothing for me to do in 2013, 2014. The metals business was on its knees, and it was very quickly the oil and gas business just collapsed. Retired, constantly watching the metals market, waiting for that time when I could come back in, because of course, once you're in this business, you're never out of this business. So saying you're retired just means you're resting.
Agreed.
What I saw in 2020 was the whole metal complex was starting to move, and people were talking about electric vehicles and what they wanted to see and do and how they wanted to do it. I looked at one metal, and one metal to me, which has been something I've liked for a long, long time, is nickel. And at the time in 2020, I know we were in the middle of the pandemic, I'm looking at nickel thinking, wow, the copper's moving, tin is moving, all this other zinc, but nickel isn't. And I know in the nickel market, and we haven't had a nickel discovery in 25 years for what would be considered a class 1 nickel discovery. Mm-hmm. So we need to make one of those nickel discoveries every year now to make up for that lack of exploration, that success that we've had. And if we're going to feed the stainless steel and the battery market, we're going to need more metal. And that metal particularly is nickel, copper, cobalt, and also platinum, palladium, and a host of other metals. But for us, let's focus on nickel. So wanting to get back into the business, having a friend that ran a company, we call it the Z Group of companies, but Glenn Mullen is much more than just running the Z Group of companies. He's really well known in the metal space. He made a discovery with his company, Canadian Royalties, and he took that discovery all the way through feasibility, and he built a nickel mine in the Arctic, a really incredible accomplishment. The company eventually sold to a Chinese nickel company. And, so he's got all this experience, and he had a nickel project within the Z Group of companies. And approaching him in 2020 with the price of nickel in the 425 to 450 range, you know, I said, look, let's look at how we can take your property, build a company around it. I'll finance it and I'll build a team. If it is there, we'll find it. And so I guess the theme of this is right time. So it is now to be in the metals business. The right commodity, it is now to be in nickel. And I know everyone is looking at the fact that nickel has some incredible run in about 15 minutes to $100,000 a ton.
Yeah.
But let's assume that it falls back down and trades in
let's assume.
Yeah, it's going to trade. You know, I'm guessing within $1 of where it started its run. I'm saying $10 to $12 is a great price for nickel. I've never worked in the nickel business when the price of nickel has been anything but $3.50, $3.75, $4.50.
Wow.
Well, you know, having nickel at $10, like, well, this is incredible. Awesome. So we got the right metal. Now what we want to talk about is the right people. So I've already talked about Glenn Mullen, and Glenn Mullen has agreed to be on our advisory board. So Glenn is a director of a much, much bigger company in gold royalties out of New York, but he has agreed to provide us with that technical assistance and the ability to look at these things that geologists are going to look at to give us guidance. We also brought another really well-known nickel name, and that's David Gower. And Gower and I've been friends for decades. And he came out of Falconbridge. He was at Falconbridge. He was the director of nickel exploration worldwide. His teams have found nickel deposits in brownfields and in greenfields. And he has been involved in the seeing of those go from discovery through to production. So now building a base of technical advisors that have been there, done that.
Awesome.
On our board of directors, I've asked Richard Dufresne to join us. Now, Richard worked for Falconbridge, and you'll start seeing the theme here in just a second. Richard worked for Falconbridge, and he worked for Anglo-American, all looking for nickel in Canada. And Richard from Montreal became our friend when he was working for us up in Raglan in the Quebec Arctic. A tremendous experience in nickel. And also we were able to hire a VP exploration, Gary DeShooter. And Gary, again, the same theme, is Falconbridge geologist being trained by a big company for nickel exploration, then went to work for Anglo-American and was part of the team that worked with us up in the Raglan. And then when we got to the position, I thought that we were able to offer a package that said, we are now a nickel company, that Gary agreed to join us. So Gary's been our VP exploration for about a month and really is just driving the exploration.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you have a really star-studded team, it looks like. It looks like you got a really good crew of experienced individuals, people that are, have done everything from inception to commercialization. And that's key in these, especially with junior mining in Canada. It's key because there's a lot of deals out there that are like, you're just throwing money into the ground and waiting and hoping. So if you don't have an experienced team, the bottom line is that you'll just probably be spinning your wheels. And that's really exciting to hear that at Quebec Nickel that you have that team. Now, moving past the team, that is a huge differentiator. What's unique about the asset, the actual asset itself? What makes this so unique?
And you've now just opened the book for me to talk for hours.
No.
I have been telling people, I'm not a geologist. I raise the money for the geologists.
Agreed.
I believe I built this is just the start of what we want to build. And these are thoroughbreds in the nickel business. you know, they have seen it all. They have lived it all, and they've had 20, 25 years experience. So what was it that I said to them about what we have?
Agreed.
But then they said, yes.
Yes, exactly.
You're not just another Vancouver promoter. You're actually telling a story that resonates with us.
There we go. There we go.
So when we started, and I know you and I joked about this in the past, is I had an idea, Quebec Nickel, and I had a property from Glen, the Ducros property. It had showings, nickelliferous showings, and nothing that you would say was a ore grade or grade over width. But it's certainly a lot of nickel sniffs. So now we had to go raise money to go chase this down and see if, like, is it true? I mean, it's one thing, there's lots of places in the Abitibi where you can find low-grade nickel. We want to find a high-grade deposit. That's what's going to drive investment, is grade over width. And, you know, as an old friend of mine said in this business, grade drives investment. So that's what I'm looking for, something that in the Abitibi is a unicorn. It is an ultramafic massive sulfide that is carrying maybe 2% nickel, in this case, would be considered high grade in the Abitibi. When I look at across the Abitibi and the maybe 15 or 20 occurrences within the Abitibi, you're looking at average grade is maybe 2.3 to 2.4% nickel. And, you know, I mean, that's great. If you've got 1 billion tons, that can make a mine. You know, it's a big, it has to be a big operation. Well, what I want to find, and I'm hoping we find, is that high grade. And I don't know where it is, but putting the team together to find it is the first stage. And that, to be able to show this team what we did in the way of the work program leading up to me offering them positions either as on our advisory or on a board of directors or as VP exploration, I had to prove to them that we have the potential of being that unicorn. And, you know, but again, Roger, in a year from now, you're going to be telling me that I'm a one-horned goat, that you know, I wasn't a unicorn. And this is the risks and the rewards of junior mining exploration. I can't see the future, but I can see, if I bring the right people to mix into this, our best chances of success are going to come from people that have been there, done it before, have seen it, and know what they're talking about. So in, I believe it was in late October, early November, I took a package of information that we had. It was surveys that we did, ground surveys we did, and the soils. And I presented to obviously a group of institutional investors. And I said, the $1 million you gave me, and we took this $1 million, and this is what we have come up with. And now I want to raise money to do a very, very large program across our property. And what ended up happening is we ended up raising about $7.7 million.
Wow.
And truly, that we were hitting, and still nickel was in the $9, $10 range. So it had virtually doubled in the year from when they put up the original money. So, you know, most of the people that were involved in the first round of financing stayed involved in this. And because of that, we were able to raise this money. And once I had this money, we were able to get a drill contractor that would commit to drilling 20,000 meters, which is a big drill program for us. We have an airborne survey that we're able to commission. We're able to hire geologists. So we started out with a geologist working part-time. And you know, on weekends, etc., and trying to advance this. Our burn rate in last year ago, right now, would be probably around $10,000 a month.
Wow, great!
Our expenditures on exploration to get to where we could raise the money was probably about $400,000, and that was over about a year maybe a little longer, a year when we spent $400,000 on exploration.
That's great. That's good.
We're
Good,
going
good bookkeeping.
to spend $700,000 a month, every month from now until Christmas.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you know, that's the reason. Like, we've ramped up everything. We've brought in a new CFO, lots of experience in handling the kind of workflow that we're going to create with that kind of a drill program that we're doing. Brought in Gary DeShooter, someone that has been able to manage large programs. Gary was managing our program up in the Arctic when we were spending $10 million a year up there.
Okay.
I know he knows how to handle this. And so this gives us that great opportunity to find something this year while the market is still paying a premium for nickel companies. And making a discovery here, if you look at contemporaries that we have in the Abitibi, you're looking at anywhere from 50 to $200 million market caps. Today, our market cap is, I don't know, I think it's probably fully diluted basis is less than $20 million. And on a fully diluted basis, we'd have about $12 million in the bank. So, the risk reward for your investor is tilted in their favor because we have more money than I guess you would call the value you're paying for the nickel project.
Agreed.
And I don't know, I can never see the future, but I can tell you can't get to the future without money.
Yeah, for sure. You've done a really good job managing the books. My hats off to you. Like, honestly, that's huge. Not a lot of companies, especially mining companies, are good at balancing the books in tough times. And you've done an unbelievable job doing so. So hats off. That's great. So that's another differentiator. And now in terms of the most recent press release, where are you currently at with this project? What was the last press release you just had out? And let's tell, the audience, what does that mean?
So the press release went out Tuesday morning. And if you have a PhD in geology, you have a pretty good basis to be able to read a press release written these days under 43-101.
Agreed.
A lot of the press releases are very technical, and they have to be able to set the scene in the appropriate way. So
makes sense.
we describe the core that we have drilled, described the rationale for why we were drilling where we were drilling. And in the Abitibi, so this is a very large area. And one of the basic themes of the Abitibi is you have a geophysical anomaly, you drill it. So when we come off the road to drill where we wanted to drill, we're going by 3 of these geophysical anomalies. We drilled those, explained the anomaly as a iron formation. We moved on, and now we're drilling these other set of holes. The description on hole number 4 and 5, then this is the takeaway. Hole 4 and 5 is hitting the mafic, ultramafic rocks that you want to see. Now, I'm not saying there's any nickel in these. What I'm saying is if you don't hit ultramafics, then you're not going to find a magmatic nickel deposit. So we know we're hitting the right rock type. And it may be just in this area that we see this right rock type and that we need to continue drilling here, or this leads us to further drilling as we move from the east side to the west side of the property. So the first takeaway is we got the right rock type and we're able to show that. The second takeaway is we've completed a very large geophysical airborne survey. It's called VTEP. And that survey, given the weather conditions and COVID, et cetera, took an exceptionally long time to complete. You cannot fly one of these airborne surveys in high winds, in fog, et cetera. It just seemed like we would have days and days of the helicopter being down because of the
Agreed. Agreed.
And of course, there was COVID, and we couldn't get started during the Christmas, or actually until I think it was the third week of January that we actually got flying. So that survey has been completed, and now we're going to use that survey to drive the drilling on what we call the ultramafic complex, which is on the, so there's a road that transects our property. On the east side of the road is where we've been drilling right now, called the Fortin. And now we're moving to the west side of the road, and we will drill, and these will be the geophysical targets that we've just, that we'll be analyzing right now. And we'll be choosing a number of those targets to drill. And then further drilling through Q3 and 4, we'll continue moving farther and farther west, and probably to the north from where our original drilling is. So pretty exciting times having that information just coming in. You know, it's going to take time to analyze it. And we put a few wizards on it that have the experience of looking at nickel deposits and understanding geophysics and geology to come up with targets for us. And that will be the next phase of our drill program.
Awesome. So there's definitely more news to come, and it's really exciting that you're going, it seems as if your results show that there could be a huge possibility, because without that being there, there is no possibility of nickel. So that's the hugest takeaway in that press release. And we're excited here at BFN, and we're trying to tell everybody in the community that this is an opportunity that they have to invest or look at the stock, put it on their watch list. And we're really early. This is a very early stage junior mining company.
Yeah, it is early days. And really, the best I could ask everyone is to go on our website, register for the emails. As these things come out, you'll be able to say, okay, here's an entry point. Things are looking exciting. You know, and that day that we get it, when we get that grade over with, we'll be putting out that and blasting that email to everyone that is registered on our email list.
Awesome. So definitely everyone check out their site. Their website will be fully displayed in the description below. And again, Mr. Patterson, thank you very much for the time that you spent with us here on BFN. We thank you very much for sharing your updates on Quebec Nickel. And we hope to hear more in the future, because we know that our investment community have been watching the stock. I think since last October, we've been, watching the development of this stock, and we're excited. We think that there's a lot of potential here.
And Roger, we've given you the reason to watch the stock. I'm hoping in the not too distant future, we'll have a reason for you to be a buyer of the stock.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. Well, you know what? Thank you very much for your time today. This is Roger and Mr. Patterson signing off for the BFN.